Hi, I'm Matt from Tubby Tarot. I have a very large card collection. And when I say very large, I mean pretty big card collection. In fact, it's grown to such a state that I've had to take it off this shelf, which I've now transferred my books to, and I've had to put it onto a separate shelf, a completely different shelf that literally stands almost to my ceiling, to the floor. And I was going through, when I was transferring the collection from this shelf to the other shelf, I thought, you know what, this is a perfect time to declutter my collection. Hi, welcome back. Okay, so moving all the cards, I thought, you know what, let me have a look and see if I can declutter my collection. And I couldn't, I literally could not do it. So that's the end of my video. I just wanted to... How hard is it for you to declutter your collection? And should you even do that? I don't know. I am in two minds about this. Because I'm a card collector, I could collect cards indefinitely. I could probably have an entire room with wall-to-wall, floor-to-ceiling shelves just covered in cards, decks. Okay, not to mention the books that go with all those decks and the wonderful books that are out there on tarot and Lenormand and that sort of thing. So for me, I tend to find it very difficult to get rid of tarot cards. Books, I still have a way of kind of getting them out and hand them out once I've read them. A lot of the books that I read, I tend to pass on, except for very specific, very special books. But my tarot collection, I think because I spend so much money on a deck. In South Africa, and I say this again and again, we don't have deck creators. We have to import all our decks. We don't make decks in this country. So every single deck that I have, and I mean every single deck I have, is imported from overseas, either Australia, England, Italy, America. They are all imported, and obviously I pay import tax on all these cards, and it pushes the prices up really high. So I am, and you can work this out if you like, I'm paying an average of between 300 and 800 Rand for a deck of cards. So if you want to work that out, go and pop onto the internet and get yourself a currency converter and convert that back into pounds or dollars or euros or whatever you use. It's very expensive. Now, I'm not saying that tarot cards are cheap overseas, but they certainly are way cheaper than what we pay here, because a lot of the time you can get local decks or decks that are done within your country, okay, especially if you live in a large city. So for me to get rid of decks is very difficult. In fact, this last time I actually only got rid of 2 decks, okay, and one of those decks, I shouldn't really tell you this, but I actually fucked it up when I was modifying it. So I am going to give it to a friend who doesn't mind that. She's always wanted the deck, and I've told her, look, it's fucked up. She's like, I'll take it, I'll fix it, I'll deal with it. But I didn't really want that in my collection because I wasn't using it at all. Which brings me to another reason why I find it so difficult to declutter my deck collection, is that 99% of the cards I now have are specifically chosen decks. They're not just one to buy a deck willy-nilly. Just because it's a new deck, I'm going to buy it. I have specific tastes in my decks. And the decks that I have, I want. I've always wanted them. They are decks that I've hankered over, some of them for years. Some of them have been out of print and only recently come into print again, the reprints. And I've been like, oh, hell yeah, fantastic. Now I can actually get myself a copy. Other decks, even of the more commercial decks, I've been like, you know, I really want that, but I can't afford it because it's really expensive. And then a year later, because it's no longer the flavor of the month, the prices come down, so I've been able to buy that specific deck. So for me to declutter my collection is virtually impossible because every deck is so special to me. Even if I don't use it, or I don't use it that often, because I do use all my decks. There are perhaps 5 decks that I never use, and the only reason I've got them on my shelves is because of the amazing artwork, and I still pull them out and look at the artwork. Okay, so I'm still inspired by that. So even those decks I can't really get rid of. So do you declutter, or do you not declutter? I have seen many videos on YouTube where people have actually said, oh, well, you know what, I'm going to declutter my deck. I know that the wonderful, gorgeous Katie Flowers did this a little while ago, and in fact, she did it twice, I think. And I love Katie, but I don't know. Seriously, girl, some of those decks you threw out, I would give my left kidney for just like 2 or 3 of them. So it pains me when I see people doing this. But I also understand it's like my books. You can only have so much, and then you have to start becoming quite ruthless, picking and choosing. Now, what happens with me is, and I don't know if this happens with you, but what happens with me is instead of getting rid of decks, I tend to get rid of bookshelves and get bigger bookshelves so that they can house my deck collection and I can expand on it, which is an incredibly difficult thing, a dangerous thing to do. It's like the fat man who, instead of going on a diet, buys bigger clothes and then says, oh, well, I haven't put on weight because my clothes still fit me. Well, no, Doreen, you've gone from a 32 to a size 40, you know. This is what happens. And this is what happens with me and my books and my tarot cards, is I tend to just buy bigger shelves. So my deck collection doesn't shrink, the shelves just get bigger. And it's one of those terrible sort of things where I find it very difficult with certain things to let go. There's certain things I can let go, and I've done a video of this before, sharing and decluttering your sacred space, where I've said that if I've got doubles of something, if I've got 2 brass bells, I'll give 1 away, or I'll donate 1. If I have 6 incense burners, I will give 3 away. And you can't use 6 incense burners, you know, that sort of thing. That I don't have a problem with, and it's weird because sometimes that costs more than the tarot decks. But my tarot decks are very, very special to me. They are like children to me, and every one of them is so specifically chosen and so specifically meant for me. Each deck has a specific meaning. Even my most obscure decks have a very specific meaning. So I want to know from you, have you ever decluttered your deck? And I'm speaking specifically to deck collectors, because many of you out there only have 1 or 2 decks that you use. And I fully understand that, and we've done this, we've spoken about this before. Do you collect or do you use decks? Or are you kind of doing both? Do you use your entire collection? But people who collect decks, I'm talking specifically to you today. Do you declutter your deck collection, or do you hang on to everything? And if you do declutter it, how do you go about doing this? I'd love to hear your comments down below, because perhaps I can learn how to actually let go of some of the decks in my collection. Although I'm actually sitting here, the shelf is directly behind you. So I'm looking at my collection at the moment, and I don't think there is a single card on that shelf that I want to part with. They, as I say, become like your children. They become very, very ingrained. I like to come into my sacred space and see all the decks on my shelf. It's like the book collection that is going on behind me. I'm busy sorting books. I've got boxes of books and I'm sorting them out, and I'm putting the ones I really like on my shelf. I find it very difficult to get rid of some of the books that I've got, even though I know I'll never read them again because they are sentimental. But I probably have to do it because I don't have a shelf or a room big enough for this. So do you declutter? If you do, share, please, how you go about doing this without tearing your heart in two. And if you have any suggestions on what I could perhaps do to stop buying decks every month or whatever, leave comments about that down below as well, because I think that one has to get to a point where you don't need to declutter your collection. I think one has to get to that point where you are choosing your cards so specifically that you will get to a point where you don't need to actually declutter. Okay, leave comments, like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about me. My name's Matthew, I'm from Tubby Tarot, and I'll see you on the flip side.